Greetings from the back deck at TicTac World Headquarters. My name is Chris, and my wife and I are the proud owners of vestibule number 675, which we call TicTac. In this series of videos, I'm going to discuss tips, tricks, hacks, gear reviews for people who own small campers like a vestibule. If any of this sounds interesting to you, stick around, we'll get started in a second.
That's it. I'm in.
We just returned from the vestibule rally at Itasca State Park in Minnesota. Previously, we've only done long weekend trips, and there was a huge difference between going for a weekend and then going on a 3+ week trip with the camper. In this video, I'm going to cover some observations, thoughts, ideas, and lessons learned that we encountered during that trip. Some of these things may be obvious, especially if you've been out traveling for a while, but hopefully everybody can get a little something out of this video. On a long trip, it's definitely helpful to have a plan, even if it's only a really rough outline. Because we had a set arrival date and location, we used the plan to figure out where we wanted to camp, made sure we had reservations for that campsite, especially with some of the stays being over holiday weekend. We didn't want to be left cold without a campsite at certain locations. We put a spreadsheet together with the various dates and locations we were planning on stopping at, and included both the campground and the site number for easy reference. Once a reservation was made, we'd color in the squares on the spreadsheet, knowing what reservations were completed and what sites we still had to book. On the same spreadsheet, we had by location, grocery stores, laundromats, propane, and any other locations we wanted to visit in and around that campground. Having a plan is great, but you need to plan for change. You have to be flexible for any number of reasons, breakdowns, weather, and in our case, we had to book our entire return trip because we had to stop at the vestibule factory for a repair. Weather can also be a huge factor when planning for a trip. When you go for a weekend, you can pretty much pack everything you think you're going to need, and you know what the weather's going to be just a day or two out. But when you're traveling so far afield over such a long period of time, you have no idea what the weather's going to be like. In fact, the weather at Itasca was 20 degrees cooler and rainier than it was 2 years ago. We definitely were underprepared for such a swing in the weather. So the recommendation is to bring clothes for just a little cooler and just a little warmer than what you anticipate. Doesn't hurt to throw in an extra blanket or two in the camper just in case. Even with a plan, we actually plan for serendipity. And I know that statement is at odds with itself, but if you don't leave time for side quests, you may miss some great things like Canada's largest nickel, the Big Fish Supper Club, Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox, the Corncob Water Tower, along with any number of spectacular views. Take time, smell the roses, and enjoy the journey. It's not just about the destination. On short weekend trips, you're pretty much able to bring all the food you're going to need and not have to worry about going shopping while out on the road. On longer trips, it's going to be difficult to bring everything you need to last those 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. So you're going to have to plan to do some shopping along the route. As you're planning out your trip, make sure you look to make sure you can find places where you can do your shopping near or between locations you're staying at. And I made sure to put those locations onto that spreadsheet that I put together so I know where I'd be able to stop and get groceries. You're going to need to be flexible with your meal planning because you may not be able to find the exact ingredients you're looking for in every grocery store you stop at. We simplified our meal plans, and when we went shopping, we had a rough idea of how many meals we were shopping for and a rough idea of the kind of cooking we wanted to do. On the grill, something quick and easy. We then went into the grocery store and looked for the main ingredients, such as the meats or vegetables, and then built meals around what we were able to find. We also made sure we had backup plans, nice simple things like even some ramen with some fresh vegetables, or even sandwiches for dinner, because as you know, things always change. If there's rain in the forecast, don't plan to be using a grill outside. Instead, switch to something you can do in the galley or under a fly. Again, you have to be flexible and be willing to move things around based on the situation. If you're going to have meals out, eat local. Find the local specialty and try it if you never had it. We enjoyed poutine while we were camping through Canada, and as we went through the Dells in Wisconsin, we had fried cheese curds as well. Both were delicious, and I'm glad we tried them. Food trucks are always a great option for a quick meal when you're out on the road. After dropping our camper off at the factory for repairs, we had to stop at a local Menards, and when we came out, we were both hungry, and we had some tacos from a food truck right there in the parking lot. We both agreed it was perhaps some of the best food we had the entire 3-week trip. Small breweries should also be considered. We travel with a dog, and we're always looking for a place to eat that's dog friendly. Most breweries, but not all, will have an outdoor seating area that is dog friendly. And with some, even the inside of the brewery is dog friendly. We enjoyed lunch and a beer at 2 such locations on our trip. And if you don't drink beer, most breweries will also have non-alcoholic choices, and some will even brew their own sodas. When you're on a short trip, you don't necessarily have to keep things neat and tidy in the camper or the car, because you know in a couple days you'll be home and everything's coming out and it's going to get resorted and put away anyway. However, on a longer trip, you really do need to keep organized both in the camper and in the car. If you're haphazard in the way you throw things back into the car, into the camper, you're going to spend a lot more time looking for things because you're moving things around constantly. If everything goes back to where it belongs, you'll know where everything is when you need to go find it. Storage bins are your friend. All of our bins are from the same company that are dustproof and waterproof, and they stack really nicely together. Make sure you try to keep like things together. Make sure you label your bins both on top and the front. It'll make it easier to find the things you're looking for when you need to find them. Avoid having a lot of loose items rolling around in your car. Having a bin for shoes and backpacks and loose items definitely helps keeps things organized and nice and neat and tidy. We hadn't thought about where we would put any grocery items that we purchased along the way, and we wound up just keeping them in shopping bags in the back of the car. That got to be a real nuisance, and the next long trip out, we're definitely going to have a bin set aside just for groceries purchased while we're out on the road. After the first couple days on the road, we realized we were going to have to start taking notes. We kept a small notebook handy to jot things down as we thought of them. Things we needed to buy, things we needed to fix, ideas to make our life a little bit easier. The trick was, as soon as we thought of something, we'd grab the notebook and write it down. If the notebook wasn't handy, and if we didn't write it down right away, we forgot what we were going to add to the notebook. And another thing we learned was never pass up a nice, clean, hot shower. The next campground you go to, the shower may not be as nice as the one you just passed up. Remember that nothing ever goes 100% to plan. So when life throws you a curveball, keep smiling, you'll get through it. And as my mother used to say, it's an adventure. Enjoy it. If you want simple and easy, stay in a hotel. But stay in a hotel once in a while is not necessarily a bad thing, especially when you want a really nice, long, hot shower. If you have anything that you've learned while on your trips that you'd like to share, leave a comment below. As always, anything that I might have mentioned, I'll post a link below in the description. Until next time, cheers and happy camping.